You might have seen that the Ryerson Students' Union has been in the news a lot recently. What happened? On January 28, 2020, the Ryerson Students' Union president, Vanessa Henry, announced the union had taken legal action against Ryerson University. This came days after the university announced it was immediately terminating its agreement with the RSU and would no longer recognize it as Ryerson's official student government. The claim the RSU filed asked that the university recognize the union as Ryerson's student government and return their funds. When students pay their tuition, the university collects the money on behalf of the RSU. The problem with that is that the university announced they would be withholding these funds in January 2019. This money is supposed to be given to the RSU for programming, student groups, and equity service centers. Now here's the catch. The RSU is claiming that the university cannot legally do that. If you don't remember, back in January 2019, the Eye Opener reported that credit card statements under the names of RSU's president Ram Ganesh, Vice President Operations Savreen Gasal, and Financial Controller Darshini J showed purchases totaling thousands for food, alcohol, clothing, and entertainment. To better understand all of this, let's go further back in time. In May of 2018, the RSU fired their general manager. The general manager is responsible for overseeing the union's finances. But why? Well, their goal was to split the responsibilities of the GM into two new jobs. But they never actually hired someone to handle their finances. Instead, they gave one credit card to the president and another one to Vice President Operations. The intention of the credit card was to cover expenses from RSU events and other union activities. This violated the RSU's own financial policy. It says that only the GM and financial controller can have credit cards. All of a sudden, purchases started racking up. But here's the catch. Some of those purchases didn't appear to be RSU related. At a board meeting on February 1st, the financial controller said that the total amount spent on those cards was $273,000. Yep, $273,000. Jumping to February 11th, the board voted to impeach Ganesh. They also voted to suspend Gasal. Remember, these were the two people who held onto those credit cards. The RSU then elected McLean DeWeaver to be their new president. Ryerson told the RSU it had to complete a forensic audit. The RSU hired PricewaterhouseCoopers to do the forensic audit. An audit is a process that involves examining a company's financial records. A forensic audit could be used to gather evidence for a court case. On January 21st, 2020, the RSU announced a police report was filed after the financial review was complete. It reviewed the credit card expenses of the three former RSU members accused of misspending funds. But on February 3rd, the union announced that because of cost and time, they instead had PricewaterhouseCoopers do a review of the RSU's credit card expenses. Following this financial review, RSU's audit committee found $99,477 in expenses that they couldn't verify the legitimacy of. The total amount of money spent by the former union executives was also confirmed to be $260,000 instead of $273,000. Why should you care about the RSU's finances? In the 2018-2019 academic year, students paid $78 per year for RSU expenses. There's over 32,000 full-time undergraduates at Ryerson. That means the RSU gets over $2.5 million per year from students. Now, this amount has changed in September 2019 as students were able to opt out of the RSU fees per the Student Choice Initiative. This money is supposed to go towards things like administrative staff and expenses, as well as campus groups. Since February of 2019, the RSU and the university have been trying to come to an agreement on their operating terms, but no luck. On January 30th, the RSU held a blackout demonstration to show what the campus would look like if a students' union didn't exist. During the blackout demonstration, some equity service centers were shut down. This meant that student centers like the campus center front desk and copyright were closed. The Good Food Center remained open. So, what happens next? On January 29th, the school announced their next steps for creating a new student government. They will hold an election for a new government structure in March and a general election in April. But the RSU says they still plan to run an election. Voting opens February 12th to the 14th, so get ready to hit the polls, Ryerson. For the Ryersonian, I'm Dea Kodra.